Hey kids, how have you all been? I hope you are really having a nice time with the Children's Festival. I hope you're participating. I hope you're, making full use of these amazing people that we have brought in touch with you. And, your parents are also very happy with the educative experience that you're having. I always feel schools may be closed, but learning need not stop, right? So on that note, welcome to day 5 of the Get Set Parent Children's Literature, Art and Music Festival in association with Vishwaram. So today, kids, we're going to be having 3 exciting sessions. The first one is by Ms. Geeta Ramanujam from Kathalaya. She's going to be telling us some very exciting stories. The second session is one that your parents would enjoy a lot, which is a discussion that I'm going to be having with Ms. Preeti Vyas, who is the president of the Amar Chitrakatha Network. And that's going to be very, very engaging. And finally, the much awaited shadow puppet show that the Pallavi family is going to put up for us. So hope you're all excited and you're all set with your computers and your headphones if you need it. And you can all enjoy it together. You can plug it into your TV and the whole family can sit and enjoy the evening together. All right, so let's get started. But before that, you know what to do. Press the bell icon and stay subscribed to get all the amazing updates that you need to get from what we do on our channel. Also follow me on Instagram and Facebook to stay tuned. All right, so let's jump right in. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome back to the channel the very beautiful, very warm Mrs. Geeta Ramanujam, the administrator of Kathalaya, right? So she is known as the pioneer of storytelling. She's an Ashoka Fellow. She has been awarded with various international and national awards in the storytelling circuit. And truly, she brings even a simple line of text into life, right? So she is really, really dramatic. She is so expressive. She's so vibrant and vivacious. So let's bring back Mrs. Geeta Ramanujam for an exciting storytelling session this afternoon.
It was in 2002 when I traveled to Japan. And I went to the Tokyo Children's Library, which they say is one of the biggest libraries for children in the world. I was waiting in a room which was full of books that were stitched because, they were from the ruins of the Hiroshima bombing. It was wonderful to see them all stitched together, different types of books. And I was wondering how it must have been for those mothers to have collected those books. However, the main reason that I had gone to Japan was to meet Kyoko Matsuoka, who was the chief librarian, because she was telling stories to children to help them learn the Japanese language. It's spoken very slowly, they say. As I was waiting there was a man, and he was a very old man with bright blue eyes and a long, silver beard. He came up to me and he asked me who I am. And I said I was a storyteller from India. Ah, he said, storytelling? I'm a lexicographer. I hope you know that what it means. And I said, yes, and that's why I know that you can speak English. He said, while you're waiting for the librarian, would you like to listen to a story from my land? I said, yes. And he was a person from the Hokkaido region. And this Hokkaido region is one of the coldest parts of Japan because they say there are only 3 winters there: cold, colder, and coldest. And he said, before I start telling you the story, I have the last copy of this book, he said. It's the last copy I have, and the last copy perhaps that you will find, because it was printed in 1930s. And he removed this book and he gave it to me. And I looked at that cover, as you can all see, and it had black charcoal drawings. And he said that's because the author's wife, in those days, you know, there was this charcoal drawings that one could illustrate a book with. And it's a story about the author of this book. As you can see, it's Tor Yamaguchi. And this person, Kato, who was sitting in the library, said, "Shall we start the story now?" And I said, "Yes." And he began to narrate this beautiful story to me, which I in turn am going to narrate now to you. It was the coldest part of Japan, the Niigata region. They had only 3 winters: cold, colder, and coldest. Japan, the Hokkaido region, was exactly the land of the rising sun. Most of the people who lived around that village were all fishermen, mostly from the fishermen community. Why? Because there was a huge, big sea. And this sea was very moody. She would sometimes just flow, and she would be quite calm, rested, and at that time she would go to the mountain and just, play as if she was whispering something to that mountain. The mountains, they had different shades. They were blue, red, grey. It all depended on the cold, colder and coldest parts of the season. Now it so happened, since they were always covered with snow, all those snowflakes would be floating in that calm sea, and one could imagine how beautiful that reflection will be. Well, it was not always that calm, because sometimes the sea would woo, woo, woo. She would rise and she would lash against that mountain. And you see, the mountains would say, "Now calm down, or we're there, we take it all." And she would lash. It was at this time that most of the fishermen who went out to the sea lost their boats, they lost everything that they had caught. Sometimes the bodies would come floating. The people around the sea were so used to this. They would say, "The sea was very angry, I guess. The sea has taken away our people. It's okay. We know how to live." And they would accept the situation and live along those villages, rebuilding their bamboo houses over and over again. So most of them, you see, had only thatched roofs. Now it was one of those times when the sea, whoo, whoo, she was just jumping up and she was lashing. She was so angry that day. And all the fishermen, all the people who had gone into the sea that day, nobody came back alive. The roofs were all blown off. The people ran hither and thither, children running all over, trying to find their parents, because they didn't know whether the parents would come alive, especially their fathers. Many of them had lost their fathers. And one of them, he was lying on his back, and he was crying, sobbing. And he was sobbing so much that people didn't hear him, because he was just whoo, whoo, whoo. And it so happened that all the children saw Toshi lying on his back and crying. They picked him up. They brought him close to the shore. They made a little fire. and they made him sit down, but he had his hands on his head and he kept crying and crying and crying. Nobody could console him because that day he had lost his father, who was the only parent he had left. He had already lost his mother. He loved his father a lot. So he was crying a lot. He must have been about 8 years old. Now, someone touched his shoulder and he looked up and he saw this wonderful white robe, tall man. And when he looked up, he saw that this man had a big silver beard. He had the most beautiful blue and twinkling eyes. And there was a softness in his eyes. And he was holding a lantern in his hand. He looked up at this person, and there was something about him which made him stop crying. Oji-san, that was his name, told Toshi, "Come here. I will take care of you from now on." Toshi suddenly felt so relieved. He hugged Oji-san and he said nothing. He only looked and he watched. I forgot to tell you something. Toshi could neither speak nor hear. And for him, that look of Oji-san meant a lot. Oji-san took that lamp and took Toshi along with him up the mountain. Now his house was up above a mountain near the Hachiman shrine. The Hachiman shrine had a single bell. It was a beautiful shrine. There was only one house with a red roof, and that was Oji-san's. So he went inside that house and he felt he could see the whole world. It had large windows and he somehow loved that house very much. He looked at Oji-san and hugged him again, as if to say thank you very much. Now Oji-san had his tasks to do because he was a fisherman too. So by the time the day passed away and the next morning, you see, it was the land of the rising sun. So the sun would rise around 4 in the morning. So even before the sun rose, the fishermen would take their boats. But the sky was just about blue and trying to burst into an orange scene. So they would all take their boats, and since it was quite dark, they would all have a lamp in those boats. So that lamp, or what you call as the lantern, would light up those boats. And all these men would go rowing. Doku ni no jizo ni suge kasa kabusi na ji samano iye vadoko da iye vadoko da doku ni no jizo ni suge kasa kabusi na ji samano. While all their wives and children watched, they would see the boats disappearing into the distance. Now Toshi had found a new home. Oji-san had left. So he would go and sit near that shrine, and he would sit near that shrine and watch the whole of the Hokkaido region, all that beautiful snowy mountains. And just as the sun decided to open his eyes, it was that red streak in the sky. It was beautiful. It was like a scratch in that sky. And Toshi watched as that red streak slowly turned a little orange. And then there was this orange and red which lit up that sky. Sometimes the clouds would move and make patterns. And Toshi watched. And then it became slightly golden yellow. And it lit the snowy mountains. They were orange and yellow, reflecting that white snow. Wow! And also the waters looked beautiful. It was precisely at this time that there was one golden crane that started flying across the sky. Imagine a golden crane. And as that crane was flying, there followed 1,000 other cranes. And Toshi just watched in delight as he saw those golden cranes, move across that golden sun. And there was this one little one which would look at Toshi from the corner of his eye as if to say, I know you're sitting there. And Toshi would stretch out his hands as if to say, love you. Oh, I want to hug you. And those 1,000 golden cranes passed very quietly. There was just this, that's all. The sky turned yellow. The golden cranes had passed. Dang went the bell of the Hachiman shrine. Doku ni no jizo ni suge kasa kabusi na jisa mano ieva doko da ieva doko da. And all the fishermen returned. Every day this was the scene, and the children would run down because they all had the bamboo baskets. They would collect the fish and there'll be a lot of chattering. And then of course the day went on and there were other community helpers, the toy makers, the tailors, the carpenters. The day went on until of course the sea would sometimes rise, sometimes she would be very calm. So the days the fishermen returned, it would be great. It was one day when everyone went out to the sea, including Oji-san, and they heard the song, and Toshi, as usual, sat down and he watched the golden cranes, and it was that time that he heard the sound, Doku ni no jizo ni, and he knew that the boatmen were arriving. He ran down that hill that day. And Oji-san was just taking out all his fish from the boat and waiting for Toshi. And Toshi brought the bamboo basket, but he put the bamboo basket down. And he started tugging and pulling Oji-san, tugging. And Oji-san said, yes, I know. I know you saw the golden cranes. And he said, I know you saw that beautiful orange sky. No. And he tugged. And Oji-san knew there was something not right. So he said, all right. And he asked his friends, Kenkichi, come look after my fish because I have to go up with Toshi. He ran up the hill with Toshi to that house. And in that house, that not a very large house, but it was a big enough house, he saw a huge golden crane. And the golden crane was lying with his tongue out and his eyes, and he was not moving. And it was the first time that anybody had seen a golden crane, because once it's up in the sky it looks small, but inside that house it was a huge, really huge crane. And Toshi was worried. So Oji-san went quickly because he knew, he put his ears and he saw that the heart was still beating, and he knew that the crane was alive. So he looked around and he went out and he got some herbs, chrysanthemum, and he crushed them. And he got some poppy seeds, he pounded them and he mixed them all together. And there was this left wing that was hurt and it was lying. So he went there and he started putting it on the wings of this golden crane. Toshi, being a little boy, he looked at the crane to see if there was any reaction, but the crane was still. And then he had the fish. So he went and gave the fish to that crane and said, eat, eat, eat. Of course, he couldn't speak, but he just kind of made that. But the crane was. Well, Oji-san knew. He said, you'll have to wait. It's not so easy that you're going to do this. Please wait. So then what happened? The whole day passed. The crane didn't move at all. And Toshi was a little anxious because he was a little boy. Oji-san went about his way. That night before Toshi went to sleep, he gave him another fish, but the golden crane had not moved at all. The next day and the next day, which was 3 days, and now the crane, for the first time on the third day, when Toshi gave a little fish, swallowed and started moving a bit. Toshi was very happy. It was as if he was telling that crane, fly, go away, fly away. Oji-san watched. But you see, it was not only Oji-san, because news had spread. Nobody had seen a golden crane before. Everyone had heard about the golden crane, and for the Japanese, the golden crane was the holy crane. So all the people said, you know what? There's a golden crane in Oji-san's house. Golden crane, golden crane, golden crane. The word spread. All the tailors, all the toy makers, all the children, they made a big line, huge line, down that hill. And they waited. One by one they took turns. They climbed up the tree sometimes and they said, there's the crane. And they all made a beeline to watch and to see this crane. And they said, wow, golden crane. Oji-san was very strict. He said, no, nobody is allowed inside the house. You can watch from outside, but not inside. Toshi was worried because he had only swallowed one fish, but he was confident. The second day he swallowed, the second time I would say, he swallowed the second fish. And now he was moving a little more. And as he started moving around the house, Toshi was feeling excellent. By the time the word spread across the seas to the other parts of Japan, now there was a silk merchant. This silk merchant had everything from the world. He had the silk from China, he had the best diamonds from Africa, he had the best spices from India, but he didn't have a golden crane, and he wanted that golden crane now. He came to the shores of that sea and he got down. He took his carriage, which had 6 white horses, and came to the foot of that hill, pulled the carriage, got down from there and climbed up the hill. All the people said, there's a merchant in our little village. Oh God, Tojinmara has this little village. It's a small village. So people, had not seen many people. So they saw this man with the ivory carriage and white horses and silk and diamonds and gold, and they were like enamored. So they all climbed up with him. He came to Oji-san and said, Oji-san, Oji-san. And Oji-san said, yes. Give me that golden bird. I will give you the best diamonds, the silk, the money, anything you want. I just want that golden bird. Now, Oji-san was very calm and he said, this golden crane is not mine. Tell that boy to give it to me. And Toshi looked, said, it's not the boy, it's not me. The golden crane doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the skies. It's one of those 1,000 golden cranes. It doesn't belong to you or to me. What? Don't be foolish. He stamped his feet and he said, you are so foolish, you don't know how to make money. What do you lose if you give me that golden crane? And Oji-san said, I told you it belongs to the skies. Some people whispered, "He's so foolish, he doesn't know how to make his money." The others said, "I think he's being very fair by not giving away that golden bird." People spoke, people whispered, and this merchant was so angry. He stamped his feet and he took those horses and went back. But he was not quiet. He was very angry he didn't get that golden bird. So he saw to it that the emperor heard about it. Every man has his greed, so did our emperor. And the emperor now wanted that golden bird. So the next day, da 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 dum da dum, dum da dum da dum, dum da dum da dum da dum da dum da dum da dum. Soldiers marched into Tojimbura. They read out, "Tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock, the emperor will be here to take that golden bird." Now, Oji-san said, "Wait a minute, it's our holy crane, and I don't think, don't talk in the middle," said that man who was reading out the scroll. "This is an order from the emperor." Da-da-da-dum-da-dum, da-da-da-dum-da-dum, dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum. The next morning, nobody went out into the sea. Nobody went out fishing. The sea was very calm, and she seemed to whisper to that mountain, "I wonder what's going to happen. Are you there with me?" And the mountains seemed to answer, "Yeah, we're waiting too." And Toshi was worried. He looked at that golden crane, and the golden crane was now moving. And he said, "Fly, fly." He looked up at Oji-san, and Oji-san said, "Come, come, sleep with me." Toshi hugged Oji-san that night and slept. So that next morning he was waiting. He just sat near the golden crane along with Oji-san. Da-da-da-dum-da-dum, dum-da-dum-da-dum. They could hear the soldiers marching. "The emperor, the emperor, the emperor, the emperor." Everybody whispered to each other. All the people gathered on the foot of that hill just as the emperor was coming in. And Toshi watched, just got outside near the shrine, watched that red streak in the sky, watched the red streak open up into a golden yellow, and could hear the emperor marching. And just as the sky turned yellow, the golden cranes across that sky. Everybody watched because they had never seen the golden cranes, including the emperor. And they watched the golden cranes across the sky. And then they saw the golden cranes take a turn and swoop down above the heads of the people, and people, because it's such huge wings, and they all took a turn above the heads of that emperor too. They went up that hill into that house, and they went out of that house, and people just stared as the sun turned yellow. Into that golden yellow sun, they saw 3 pairs of legs hanging. You know who they were. Because the golden cranes took away the golden crane, Oji-san and Toshi along with them. The emperor just had to stare and watch as they all disappeared into that golden sun. After that, they say that they never ever saw the golden cranes again, nor did they see Oji-san, nor did they hear of Toshi. But the author of our book, The Golden Crane, he had a very old maid who was very ill and he wanted to see her. So when he went to see her, he was received by an old man who had witnessed the golden cranes. He took him to an inn, made him sit down, gave him a hot cup of tea and said, I have never seen that golden crane again. But the mountains, they're still blue and grey and red. It is still the land of the rising sun. And sometimes the sea just bursts up and she is furious. And sometimes she is very calm. I'm the only person probably left in this village, but I refuse to leave it because I just love the Niigata region in Hokkaido. And that's the end of this beautiful story of the golden crane. This is a folk tale from Tamil Nadu. It's a South Indian folk tale. And not many people know about it because it's part of the oral tradition that was passed on from one generation to another generation. Most of the stories are about the local animals and birds. And here is a story for you. Most stories are placed in jungles. So, once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a huge, big forest. And in that forest, there were tall trees, short ones, and different varieties of trees, And since it was a forest, there were a lot of animals. And there was this wonderful, great, favorite animal, which was the elephant. And this elephant was a jolly good fellow because he went dancing happily through that forest, eating those leaves. And he was so happy. Jakka naka naka naka, jakka naka naka naka, jakka naka naka naka, jakka naka na. He was so happy. And so seeing this joyful elephant, there was the monkey. And the monkey said, hey, I'd like to join. Eat. Of course, said the elephant, you could. And the monkey got onto the back of the elephant. And as they both were going through the forest, there was peong, 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 the rabbit. And the rabbit said, I'd like to join. Of course, said the elephant, and picked up, put him on his back. So the rabbit was having a jolly ride on the elephant, And there was the squirrel said, I want to come. And climbed onto the elephant's back. And all of them, jakka naka naka naka, jakka naka naka naka, jakka naka naka naka, jakka naka na. As they were going through that forest, our grandson was also setting. And he was slowly losing his light. And there was a beautiful orange gleam in that forest. The leaves were rustling. There was a light wind and breeze that was blowing. And one by one, Elephants also, the elephant began to feel sleepy, and so did all the other animals. And so the monkey just got onto a branch and said, "Goodbye, guys, I need to go." And then went off the squirrel. And then also, "Pyong, pyong, rabbit, I need to feel sleepy. I need to sleep. I need to sleep." And he ran inside his hole and went to sleep. And the squirrel too. The squirrel just went to sleep. And then the monkey was also sleeping. And the elephant also found his place and he was also sleeping. It was very late in the night. The sun had completely set. Even the snake was not hissing, but just sleeping. The quiet forest. And in the middle of that forest, there was a beautiful big lake. Even the lake seemed to be very quiet because that lotus had closed for that night. And now, one animal woke up in the middle of that night. And this was the king of the forest. And the king of the forest was not feeling sleepy. He just thought that he needs some kind of, attention. So there, he got up and he started walking through that forest and looking this way and that way. If any of the animals were awake, all of them were sleeping. So he went to the monkey. "Wish me good morning." And now the monkey it's not morning. Went to the squirrel.
It's not morning. Pyong, pyong, rabbit.
"Good morning."
It's not morning.
Now he was so upset. He said, "Nobody gives me respect. Nobody wishes me good morning." And he walked towards that big lake. In that lake, as I told you, there was this lotus flower which had a big leaf. And on that leaf, our friend, our insect friend, was sleeping.
Because he was dreaming.
Now it so happened that this was the time that our lion friend reached the pond. And he said, "Hey, you tiny little mosquito, you're not wishing me?"
Because the mosquito was dreaming of a prince. And she was very happy in her dream. When she heard the lion roaring, she woke up. Hey, it's not night. It's not morning. It's night time. Go to sleep, yeah. Disturbing everyone.
You tiny little insect.
I'm not an insect. I'm a mosquito.
Yeah, I know that. I can crush you in no time.
Well, why are you wanting to have a fight in the middle of the night? Go to sleep. Go back, yeah.
You don't tell me what to do, okay? I want to just now have a fight with you. I can crush you.
Okay, wait. First of all, you woke me up in the middle of the night. And now you're telling me you have to fight. I have to get ready. Wait. Because I can also win you. What? Wait, we'll decide about that later, okay? First, let me brush my teeth because my mother always told me that when I get up in the morning, I have to brush my teeth. Come on, do it fast. Okay, wait. Eep. 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 Come on. Wait, I have to comb my hair. Let me do my curlers, okay? Hey, come on, yeah. Wait, I have to put lipstick. And now the lion was so upset. He just pounced on that mosquito. And the mosquito went, What? You're there? I told you I have one condition. You were not prepared to listen completely to me at all. Don't talk. So now again you don't want to talk. Ow! I told you if I win, I'll be the king, okay? That is one condition. Only then I'll fight. Okay, come in the front and fight. Ow! Tell me I'm the king, tell me I'm the king, la 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 la. Tell me I'm the king, tell me I'm the king, la 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 la. Ow, ow, ow. Tell me I'm the king, tell me I'm the king, tell me I'm the king, tell me I'm the king. Okay, you're the king. I told you no, now you better go back. What? I said you go back. Don't growl so much. You're not anymore the king. Okay? Go back quietly now. And the lion put his head between his legs and just returned. I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king. And it was at that time that the sun began to rise. And there was this golden hue on that pond. And the lotus was slowly opening up. I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king. Went to the rabbit. Tong, I'm the king. Wing. To the elephant's ears. Wing. I'm the king. Wing. I'm the king. Drinking a little of the blood. I'm the king. I'm the king. Now, its belly had gotten big and it was feeling haughty too. I'm the king, 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 I'm the king. And just then, someone under that lotus leaf saw the mosquito and the silent weaver was weaving a web. And our mosquito friend, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king,
Thank you so much, Mrs. Geeta, for an as expected, wonderful, enchanting storytelling session that we've had this afternoon. For everybody who missed, Mrs. Geeta also did another storytelling session on day 2 of our festival, so you can go ahead and have a look. So all of you who have missed our previous sessions, there's no need to fret. All of these are on the playlist called Get Set Parent Children's Literature, Art and Music Festival. You can go and look at the videos, re-look at your favorite videos as well. But right now, don't go anywhere, and in fact, call your parents as well. We are going to be having an amazing discussion with Miss Preeti Vyas of Amar Chitrakatha. She's the president of Amar Chitrakatha. Let's talk to her about why mythology is important today. You can, it's a live session, so you can also, you know, drop in your questions and I'll put them across to her, right? So let's meet very soon in a few minutes. Let's take a break and come back for an interaction with Ms. Preeti Vyas.